Hi folks, I'm thinking to title this talk Moving with the Magic, and perhaps you'll see why in a bit if I get to that point in this thought that I'm having, or this insight, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I tell you, because life keeps sending me the same lesson to learn this, and I don't learn it hard enough sometimes. This is the idea that there are other people in my life that are better than me, alright, on superficial levels. I'm just going to say what it is. You know, what do I mean by that? It's like, why would I care, right? Like, if somebody else in my life, like, this is subconscious, folks. I'm saying this is deep. This is like, you know, it's there. I have to admit it. That, like, and it's very subtle. It used to be a lot worse than it is now. You know, I'm saying, like, very bad. But, like, that people are better than me. And now, what do I mean by that? Okay, let me give you an example, right? When I went to school, right, there were the popular boys and the popular girls, and I was never one of them. And I always felt inferior to them, and I felt like I don't value as much as they do, and whatever it was, and for different reasons, obviously, but it's pretty simple. I felt like I was a loser, right? I spoke about this in a talk years ago, maybe months ago. Who knows what time these days? It's hard to tell. But I remember the one time when I was probably about 15 years old, and I was in the car on the way to the airport with two other guys, and one of them being vice head boy of the school that I went to. His name was Ricky. And now everybody loved Ricky. I mean, Ricky was an all-rounder. He came from the perfect family, you know, pretty well off. His sister got like straight A's. She got distinctions in in matric, whatever you want to call it, her final year at school. She was just, you know, one of a kind, you know, also probably a prefect or something like that, whatever, you know, nonetheless. And so, you know, Ricky was we used to say, like, any girl that brings Ricky home to meet the parents will just say, like, you know, a round of applause, just give a good clap. You know, Ricky's grades were good. Ricky would play every sport that you can imagine, and of course he was brilliant at every sport, etc. And he was good looking, you know, just a nice guy, like, hard to actually find anything bad to say about this dude. And so I was in the car with him, driving to the airport, and I wasn't so much good friends with him, but I was catching a ride. We were going to the airport. It was a summer vacation, whatever it was, and I thought to myself, and I know this is a morbid thought, especially being like maybe a 15, 16-year-old kid, I don't know, I thought to myself, what happens if the car crashed and we died, you know? How many people would go to Ricky's funeral, and how many people would go to my funeral from the school, I'm saying? Like, I could just imagine Ricky's funeral, like busloads of people arriving at Ricky's funeral. You know, people just like torn apart, just like, you know, I cannot believe. And they'll come to me, you know, and they'll mention my name at the assembly or something like that, and Ricky and everyone, and Aaron, and who? Who? Oh yes, that guy. I remember he sat in the back of the class. What a weirdo. Or something like that, you know. But what I'm saying is that, you know, that's what I imagined, that his funeral would be so much bigger than mine, and people would have to, like, they would mourn over it. And let's say that my funeral was after Ricky's, people would be like, damn it, now we have to go to this other guy's funeral. Who is he anyways, you know? So maybe the school, the principal would say, look, you guys have to go. So a lot of people do it out of duty. So I'm saying this in regards just now to my social groups, okay? And so for myself, it was like, I would always see the pretty girls at school, and they were so way out of my league, right? I mean, they were sad, but like, I fantasized them about, you know. I mean, to some degree, I was a bit of a charmer, and sometimes I'd get the interest of one or two. I mean, it didn't go very far, you know. I didn't know how to keep the consistency going. Or when I realized that they might be just interested in the conversation that I was having with them, you know, I sabotaged it some way or another, I'm sure. But I'm saying, like, I was so out of my league, and I just felt it every day, right? And there was just, like I said, the cool bunch of guys. There was guys called the Bongo Boys or something like that. They were all like fairly good looking guys, like sort of skateboarder kind of dudes, you know. They were into Rolling Stones, into the Beatles. I mean, not hippie type of thing, but just like, you know, just cool dudes, and guys with such cool names, you know. I don't want to get into it, I don't know who's really listening. And I just could never be a part of it. I just, it ate away at my being. Like I just, you know, I didn't feel that I was okay with who I was. And so what I'm saying is that, like, just a few weeks ago or months ago, I bumped into one or two of these popular boys that I went to school with, and as soon as I really see them, I give them like the reverence. You know, I'm like, wow, man, Jason, my man, like, wow, you know, like, you're so way up there. Like, thanks for even talking to me, man, or like spending time with me, or just that's just the feeling. I don't know. I mean, not that we're in conversation with each other really, but it's just that feeling like I place myself lower than them, right? And like, even sometimes I see the woman who didn't turn out so pretty, let me tell you, at the end of it all, right? And I still feel like to myself, well, you would never even have the time of day to talk to me. Like, you know, I'm like a bit of a freak or something like that. I don't know. I remember, folks, like, I remember this in one particular, like I turned around at my desk to, I can't remember what I was doing, but there was like one of the pretty popular girls behind me, and I don't think I was staring at her, but she just said, you know, turn around. I said, turn around now, you know, or something like that. Well, this is in, like, you know, high school, second last year, and I was so petrified of her. And I wasn't looking, I can't remember what I was doing. Maybe I was talking to somebody else who was behind her or next to her or something like that. And she said, you know, like, barked at me, and I was like, sorry, you know. And also we get that by culture and society, that the pretty girl, you know, especially being a male, that the pretty girl is like, just walks on air, you know. She's never without a boyfriend, whatever it is, you know. Everybody loves her, right? She never has to pick up anything that weighs more than like 2 pounds or something like that, because there's somebody who's willing to do it for her, you know. Her life's good. She comes from, her family's good, her parents, you know, this halo effect that everything in her life is beautiful and perfect. You know, the pretty girl was invited to all the parties, you know, no one ever forgot, anyone ever forgot her birthday, type of thing. You know, she would never sit at home alone bored. You know, she would never have a bad hair day or something like that. She would wake up looking just, you know, absolutely gorgeous and beautiful, type of thing, and never just having a bad day. You know, everything is just blissful, and everything is just works out in her favor, type of thing, you know. And I mean, also when I think about the movies as well, how they portray, you know, that, you know, like the jocks at school, you know, the whatever they call them, the guys who into football or something like that, and the high school, what's it called, prom king and queen, you know, that sort of typical scene. This has been engineered and ingrained in us. This is how we've been told to measure ourselves up accordingly, right, to one another, and this is where to find your place in this whole sort of story, in this whole sort of script, you know. And so that's it. We all characters, but following the script, and still following the script. It was just like, wow. Do you remember the movie The Girl Next Door with Amelia Hirsch and that Aletha Cuthbert or something? It's amazing sometimes I remember these names. Aletha, I don't know if I got it right. Whatever, The Girl Next Door, you know, she was just a knockout. She was just like way out of their league, you know, way out of their league. Like, they were just nerds, and it was just like, you know. So, you know, Hollywood media has portrayed the beautiful woman to be like an absolute catch, right? I'm saying from a man's point of view. I'm speaking from a man's point of view, or a boy's point of view. But in your own way, from your own psychology, you feel in your own body, you start creating a complex. You feel, oh, I'm too thin, or I got no muscle, or I'm too fat, my face is too round, I'm too hairy, my voice is nasally. You know, you start looking at all these things that are unpleasant about you, that make you, you know, not good looking or popular or something like that. Your personality sucks, you know, your grades suck, you're not good at sports, you know, whatever it is. You don't come from a good family, your family's poor, you know, dirt poor. So you start weighing yourself up, you start measuring yourself up in a way that's, you know, to your external environment, and you start valuing yourself. And so the things that you don't like about yourself, the things that aren't you absolutely trash, right? You build up a whole list, subconscious list, and an image of yourself, right? This happens for women as well, right? Obviously, but you create this whole image, this whole also in a response to a personality to deal with all of it, to deal with all this unacceptability. I know what I don't like about myself, folks. It's not that I don't like about myself, that I feel shy about or just not comfortable with or confident about. And I need to let that go, right? Okay, so I'll get to my point. I mean, there's certain things about me, right, that I just, when I look, it's what I'm saying, folks, is that it's still ingrained in me. So coming back to what I'm saying is that why wouldn't I, when I bump into a guy named Jason or Claude or Guy or Charmaine, let's say, or something like that all of a sudden I'm triggered, all of a sudden I'm regressed, and I'm sizing myself up, like, there's Ricky, like, whoa man, there's Ricky, maybe I can get him to sign, I can get his autograph or something like that. I mean, you don't actually say that obviously, but it's triggered in you, right? We triggered all the time. We're triggered by our parents, okay? I remember the one time I was walking in a shopping center and I thought I saw my father coming down the aisle, which is like never. My father, you won't catch him in a shopping center because he's too busy at work. He's not the shopping kind of guy. He's got people to shop for him or something like that. But I thought I saw him. And it wasn't him, but it was a lookalike to him. And all of a sudden, my whole attitude, my whole posture, everything about me changed. Like, I started becoming self-conscious about a lot of things, like what am I wearing, because sometimes it's like I can dress very low-key, and my father's quite a flashy kind of guy, or something or other, and I started weighing myself up. It's like, well, what am I doing here? What's the time of day? Like, he's going to ask me, let's say it's 2:30, he's going to say, well, shouldn't you be at work? Or, what are you doing here? And all of a sudden, I became like, I changed. And I felt, but I felt like this, like almost to defend myself, now that I think about it. It was a massive defense. It was like the ego just jumped in, boom. Okay, man, I'm going to take care of this, And that's it, folks. It's like, we get engineered, we get trained into this. I mean, even when my high school teachers, after school, even my primary school teachers, when I saw them, it was almost like, yes, Mrs. Johnson, yes, Mr. Goldsmith or whatever, it was like, that's how you don't grow. It takes time to grow out of it. And also not in the same time, but you still hold that image of who the character of who the person is. So you see what I'm saying is that I'm guessing is what we do. I mean, I think is what we do. I'm sure some kind of sociologist or biologist or something, whatever psychologist can explain this a lot better than I can. But or maybe I'm way off. But I feel that this is right. So, because I know for myself, when I see Ricky in the West, very, very subtly, like I said, very subtly. And so not only that, but like I realize as well for myself, it's like, let's say I'm looking. I'll give an example. I'm looking for I'm hiring a woman, or a potential woman. She comes for an interview. I'm just saying, right? And she's attractive, and then like I tell her she's got the job or something like that, or I email her, I message her, and it takes her 2 days to reply. Let's say like with you got the job or something like that, or it didn't even go so well or something or other, and I don't get a reply. It's like, well, she's so much better than me. Well, of course, she doesn't have the time for me. I regress. And folks, we're regressing all the time into old ways of patterns of conditioning all the bloody time. Okay? And so we're not necessarily free. Okay? And what I'm saying is, the point I made in the beginning of this talk is, how do we move with the magic? How do we get involved with a relationship, firstly I suppose that's for another talk really, I think now. But I suppose what I'm saying is that, like, we got to shed it all of this nonsense, all of this rubbish that we've been conditioned by society and culture and our colleagues and friends and social groups. We've got to literally shed it, right? And it's easier said than done, let me tell you, because it's terrible. It's very, very hard to shed. It's very, very hard to let go. right? It's very hard to let go. For one, is that because we don't even realize what we are doing. We're not even paying enough attention to realize what is going on, right? What is going on under the surface. We're not even aware of it, or that it affects us in unbelievable amounts. Unbelievable amounts without us even knowing. It can ruin our day, and we don't even know why. Sometimes it's what dreams are for. Often I find that dreams are for. Often my dreams will explain to me something that I'm not picking up through, within the day. It'll show me, it'll show me, it will say, okay, it'll bring up a similar situation with different characters to point out what I'm missing. Brilliantly. I don't know how this works. It's not me doing it. But I can tell you, it's such a form of artistry, of magic of some kind. It's amazing. I'll wake up and it's like I've watched the Truman Show. I've watched a movie with so much symbolism, right? It's just so far. It's like and the way that it's connected. Oh my word! And how I picked that up, and the characters, like each person, or like what the apple represented, or what, I don't know, the something swept under the carpet, for crying out loud. It uses metaphors, it uses all kind of things, and it talks to you. That's what I'm talking about. Also, sometimes being in a relationship with is that which is awake and that which is talking to us. That's not that which is not part of the illusion, if you want to put it. The Maya. Or something that we're not in, not in the dream world. And so what I'm saying, folks, is that it's so hard, but you got to reinvent yourself, eh? You got to reinvent yourself. Again, I used that word in my last talk as well. Got to let go of it. You got to grow up, eh? You just got to grow up and let that shit go. It's like this. Just what I'm saying is that it's dead weight. It's scar tissue, but what I mean by scar tissue is like a keloid, if that makes sense. But a heavy keloid. You can't get rid of a keloid. But something that is literally dead weight. And on this road of awakening and consciousness, you cannot afford to hold on to it. You cannot afford to let it be a part of your psyche anymore. You have to shed it. You have to scrape it off. Okay? I'm not sure quite how. First and foremost, you just pay attention and be aware of it, and be aware of what's going on, and be honest and true to yourself. Be honest and true to yourself about it. About your insecurities, about that which you're not comfortable about yourself, about that which you weigh other people up that are superior than you, right? Why should anybody be better than you in regards to physicalness or something like that, right? Like why? Why should anybody be better than you completely if they earn more money than you, if they're more popular than you, or if they're more funnier than you, or sexier than you, or something or other? Like, what on earth does that make a real difference? Like in the bigger picture of things. You see, it's so dangerous to be playing this game, to be measuring ourselves up and weighing ourselves up to other people, that and we're doing it to ourselves. We are pushing ourselves. We're disempowering ourselves by looking at other people. Subconsciously, you don't even realize it. You've been programmed, conditioned. All those Disney movies that you watched. What you didn't pick up about Aladdin, maybe, and how Princess Sheba or whatever her name was. I don't remember. And Jasmine, and the hourglass figure and how beautiful she was, and how charming and charismatic Aladdin had got to be in order to score the hot girl or something. I'm saying subconsciously, subliminally, we've been fed this. You might say, no, not me. So it didn't affect me. Say bullshit. So you got to go into it. You got to go into it in your moments of meditation. You got to go into it and see. And it's gonna be hurtful. It's gonna be painful. You want to vomit sometimes. I think about it. I think about how pathetic some people are, and how I actually will value their patheticness over above who I am or what I'm about. So I was making a point before. I'll come back to it. Just because somebody's good at one angle of life, all of a sudden they're better at you for everything. So that's the point I was making. Somebody's wealthy, it's like, oh well, they're just brilliant all round, and you're a dunce and you're stupid and you're a nothing, whatever it is. or something. So sorry, I'm just jumping around here. But yeah, folks, it's like the patheticness. What I'm saying, like some people that I've revered and I still revere subconsciously, and when I was sitting in the bath now, and it was ironic because I just felt, I know it sounds strange, but also I went for a massage, and the oil that the lady used, I just felt was like heavy with chemicals. So I got in the bath and I'm like scraping myself with with these gloves, or not gloves, I don't know what you want to call them, exfoliators or something like that. And while I'm doing, I'm just thinking of these thoughts. I'm thinking about these people who I've revered, and I think to myself how pathetic they are. Sometimes it's like people close to me. I get so. Oh, when I look at it, I say they stayed like They got nothing for myself that I can find redeemable in their character. Nothing that I can find that that is worth honoring them or looking up to them for. And therefore, there's nothing with what I mean. Why then? Sometimes I feel like they're better than me, or like it's hard to explain, folks. I mean, but maybe you know what I'm talking about. Maybe you have those people in your life, that you have this with, could even be like I'm not a parent, but I just think sometimes like as a parent, and like I say something else now, but I mean I know like my mom will be sort of she's got grandchildren, and she'll be like, well, why do the grandchildren want to go with sort of the other grandmother or something or other, like what's wrong with me? I'm just saying, folks, we're comparing ourselves bloody well all the freaking time. We don't even realize it. And for what? For nothing. For nothing. It's not worth it. We're valuing ourselves according to how on many other levels. I don't know, folks. I'm just going on, and I'm just saying it's about the purging and the getting rid of. And with that, you're getting lighter. With that, you can really gauge yourself in a relationship with the Most High. That's what I'm saying. That's my point. With the Most High, right? With synchronicity, with that which is truly sacred, that which is truly honorable, that which is truly transcendental, that which is truly ancient and wise beyond all imaginations. That which is pure, that which is unadulterated, that which is complete, that which is not distorted, that which is truth, that which is beauty, that which is love. Things of that nature, that which is poetry. That's it, the magic. Get in touch, compare yourself, and see where you're holding in regards to the magic, to how much reverence do you have for the Most High, for the purpose of life, for innocence, for that which is really true, and that which is not just a fabrication or a maya or something or other. That's what I'm talking about, is moving with the magic, right? And not moving with the crowd, folks. Not moving with the bloody crowd. Not moving in the patheticness and the pettiness. I can't stand the pettiness. He doesn't like her because he said this to her 5 years ago, and then he copied the same haircut as his friend, and now the friend won't talk to him, or something. I hear this stuff. I hear it, and sometimes I sit on TV and I'm like, oh my word, I don't want to be a part of it, folks. I don't want to know it. I don't want to know it. I don't want to know that which is distorted, that which is perverted, that which is unsacred, that which is untrue, that which is not beautiful, that which is not redeemable, that which is like fast food. It's got no nutrition, it's got nothing of real value to it. And the problem is that you fall in love with something, you think it's nurturing you, right? You think it's nurturing you, and it's like, it's actually doing you a disservice completely, obviously. So that's it, moving with the magic, or getting even in touch with the magic, and the sacredness of life, and the purposeness of life, and things like that. Alright, folks, I'm going to stop right there. We'll chat soon. Take care.